So now that we've talked a little bit about Star Wars, we're going to go into the last segment, the Blockbuster Summer video, which is going to be what is your favorite Blockbuster movie or Blockbuster moment, whatever. Or they could be both. So I'm going to start with you. What is your
No,
favorite?
no, you start. You start.
Okay, well, mine is Die Hard with a Vengeance. That is my favorite. Even though the movie theater we were going to wasn't packed, it wasn't like busted the block. It was like a Tuesday, so obviously it wasn't a whole lot of people in there. Tuesday, midday, but it's a special movie for me. One, because the movie was really good, but also like this was a day where I played. My grandmother and I played hooky. She
Oh,
was off work. I was off of school. We weren't technically off, but it was just like we're playing hooky basically. We're just like, let's go see a movie. So we went to go see a movie. Went to go see Die Hard with a Vengeance, and that was first and only Die Hard. Well, no, I saw the fourth movie in the theaters, but for a long time that was the first Die Hard movie that I'd seen in theaters, and the theater experience was great. It was awesome. Like I said, it was fairly empty. It was probably like six people in there, including us, and like it
Tuesday
had
afternoon. That's what
yeah
you expect.
yeah it was like it was like 11:30 matinee or something like that, and just yeah. So we just went there, and like I said, the sound was great because I think, and I've told you about this before, just like whenever the gunshots were actually firing, and they get how they do, they fire behind the person, fire
Yeah.
behind John McClane instead of at him, but
Mhm.
the gunshots would actually travel up the theater, so it was like moving up, and it was just like it felt like you were actually there, and I was just like that was really cool. And it was just like a special moment. Like I said, the movie was really good.
Mhm.
That definitely helped out astronomically. So that would be my favorite. Second, like a close second, would be Jurassic Park and Cliffhanger doubleheader, or the double feature, I should say. That would be the second one, because it was like we watched Jurassic Park, and then Cliffhanger was the second feature after that. I don't think movie theaters do that anymore, because this is the '90s. So like I don't think movie
Well,
theaters do that.
that was probably like a sneak preview because they do that occasionally, like
They
on a
do.
Thursday or Wednesday. Sometimes they'll have a movie out and you'll pay for one movie
Mm-hmm.
or like a movie and a half or something, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll show like the new movie as a sneak preview. Sometimes they do that still.
Hmm.
So yeah, you're there for a long time.
Yeah.
But heck, I've done that, and that's nothing wrong with that because you get to
Mm-hmm.
see some cool movies before everybody else, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we like movies, so that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So yeah, Die Hard.
I
Die Hard
totally,
with a
I
Vengeance is my
totally
number
get
one.
Jurassic Park, man, because
Mm-hmm.
when that came out, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Um, that was definitely, you're right, one of those. That was definitely, I think, a blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And I said I would give it to that one, but that was like a planned day. Like, okay, it was a planned weekend. I went to this theater. I think it was somewhere in Queens or something like that. And it was like, we're doing a double feature, Jurassic Park, and I paid for one movie. Jurassic
Yeah,
Park and Cliffhanger. Watch those two back to back. That was nice. That was awesome. But it was just something about, like, I was playing hooky with my grandma. We just went to the just this theater. I have no idea where it was, but we were just in the area, and it was just like,
mhm.
let's go see a movie. That's literally what the thought process was. It wasn't like we planned to do it or anything. It was just like, let's go see a movie. So we went to go see it. Had a blast with that and everything. So it was a nice moment. It was a nice moment. So that's my number one blockbuster moment. So what would be yours, sir?
Well, like I said, the main one would be, of course, Star Wars
Hmm.
because it was such a phenomenon. When I was like 9 or 10. I was kind of in that mid nine, like 9.5 range,
Hmm.
but that was the first. And I had seen other movies, of course. We'd gone to drive-throughs, where there's still a big thing when I was a kid. So we would go
Hmm.
see the Disney movies at drive-throughs and whatnot. Um, but Star Wars was the thing because it was such a phenomenon,
Hmm.
that, like, I remember this. I don't. I remember I've never been to a movie that was packed like that when I went to see Star Wars, and I was like, wow, so many people.
Hmm.
And I was like 9.5, and so I wasn't a little kid, And so I was like, wow, this is pretty like what's going on? I was like, and then when that ship from the, when that ship comes over, you know, let's see, here we go. When it comes over like, your head and you
Mm-hmm.
see, and then, first you see the rebel blockade runner come and then the other ship come over. the, I mean, the sound of the whole thing, you're just like, whoa. And this was, again, before probably the surround sound like you were experiencing, because it was a number of years before that. But I do recall that the theater had pretty decent sound. I don't say it probably wasn't the best, of course, it was back in the 70s. So, but it was still pretty good because it was actually it was a small theater, but it was a newer theater. So it had the best camera and sound of the time. So we're
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate in that. Also, I was fortunate because my mom worked at Piggly Wiggly and we could get greenback stamps. That
Hey,
was fun,
nice.
right? All these kids who don't know that is you can get a movie with a certain number of greenback stamps. And since she worked there, she got a lot of greenback stamps.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw a lot of free movies, which again was great because we were
Nice.
kind of poor.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing we actually did get to do, which was, you know, um, you know, get the, she would buy groceries from the grocery store. Obviously, she worked there, and she would always get the greenback stamps, and she would always find some. She would never steal them because people would leave them if some people
Mm-hmm.
didn't want them, and you could turn them in for other things, which is really weird. I don't know why people didn't want them, but there you go. So yeah, so the Star Wars, and again because after that Star Wars movie, and I know we saw that movie several times, man. That first time you're sitting in the theater and that ship comes on the screen and there's lasers flying and there's mist and the whole thing, you're like, whoa. As a kid, you've never seen anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And of course, like I said, then after that, I got the empty box for Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know the Star Wars toy lore, they didn't have toys, right? They weren't ready. They were like, this is going to be a movie, and people, they were kind of like, I don't know. But then when it came out, everybody was like, whoa! And
Mm-hmm.
this was the first, I think, the first original kind of really blockbuster, and certainly summertime. I think it came out in I think they brought out in May, I think later
Mm-hmm.
May. So it was like a Memorial Day weekend sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it ruled the summer. There was a lot of movies that came out that summer, and I don't remember any of them except for that one. And like I said, we saw that movie a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was
like I
Jaws
said,
the same year? Was Jaws the
what's
same
that?
year? Was Jaws the same year?
Jaws was 75.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
And again, that was a pretty good one for that one. But
Mm-hmm.
um,
Star Wars was technically the first blockbuster, wasn't it?
yeah, I think
Okay.
in that sense, it was. I mean, I know Jaws did really well.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the empty box, which, if you don't know from toy lore, basically, since they didn't have any toys really, they said, hey, if you buy this empty box,
Mm-hmm.
they will send you some of the first figures when they make them. They'll directly send them to you.
Okay.
And so I remember getting them after Christmas. And so I was like, this is pretty cool. And then not too far after that, they started showing up in the Kmarts and the Walmarts, which again, we didn't have any Walmarts around us, but Kmarts and other stores, grocery stores actually had them too, because it was such a phenomenon. They were like, we want some. And so you could go down a grocery store toy aisle, which would typically have a bunch of, cheap stuff. Nowadays, it had like so many Star Wars toys and mostly the figures, but occasionally it's like like a vehicle like this, the Luke's land speeder or something.
Mm-hmm.
So just that whole memory of that was just like amazing, and it was just great. And that was also because of the time we moved from the city to the country, so it was
Okay.
great because, like I said, you live in the country and there was really nobody else around, so you
Mm-hmm.
kind of were playing by yourself. So it was great to have adventures with the figures and the vehicles. I mean, like where we lived on the coast, we had like a mud flat, but it had some sand on it, so like a
Mm-hmm.
sort of a beach. So hey, there's your desert planet right there, man.
Nice.
Luke's land speeder, build your own little. It was great, man. That was great. My second runner up, which was a few years later, was Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was like 12,
Okay.
12, 13 when that came out. My brother took me to see it, greenback stamps, right? That movie, again, the sound was pretty good because it was still a fairly new theater. I want to say at that point, I think this was the early 80s. So I think it did have Dolby or surround or some kind of stereo sound.
Mm-hmm.
The introduction of Indiana Jones, that the first opening, kind of like Jurassic Park, right? You see the dinosaurs when you
Mm-hmm.
see, and it kind of pans in on Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, from Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back would have come out the year before. So that one, just because I was older, and of course, Empire Strikes Back, I remember that too. But I kind of lump Star Wars all in kind of the same. But Empire was, Raiders of the Lost Ark was new, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Empire, which already was established. So it was always beloved. Everybody
Right.
loved it.
Right.
But Raiders of the Lost Ark was new because that back then everybody's like, oh, Harrison Ford is not Han Solo anymore. What's going on? And he's
Mm-hmm.
doing a new character. What? And so it's kind of like back in the day when an actor went on and did something else, people were like, wait, I thought he was this character, And so then it was kind of like, I don't know. And they were like, I don't know. But then when he did it, everybody was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's created himself another trilogy. And we'll say trilogy. We won't worry about the fourth one.
Yeah.
And now apparently a fifth one.
Yeah.
We'll pretend those don't exist. But yeah, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that summer blockbuster and that made a ton of money too.
Mm-hmm.
But that one I remember just because I was older and I felt like, I don't know, just something cool about, go with my brother instead of my parents. That was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It's like instead of going with your grandparents or your guardian or whatever, it's like going with my brother, like we're just dudes. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just
Yeah.
a dude. We're two dudes seeing a dude movie. Because you're like, you're 12, you know what I mean? You're not quite an adult. You're not,
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
You're like 11, 12. You're like, I'm gonna go see a dude movie with a dude,
Mm-hmm.
like a friend. You're like, we're cool. Even though he's
Mm-hmm.
my brother, I was like, nah, he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I also remember because the theater was packed.
Mm-hmm.
But also the reason why I remember this one so fondly is like it must have been a tropical storm or something. But anyway, it was so much rain because you're watching the movie and it was so loud. The rain was so loud.
Oh man.
When we got out of the movie, we had to park around the back, right? Well, the
Mm-hmm.
parking lot was flooded.
Oh no.
And so our car was fine because we parked on the back in the back of the theater.
Uh-huh.
Because I guess the way they built it was like the theater was kind of raised up. When they build a building, they'll build up the foundation a little higher. So the
Mm-hmm.
parking behind the theater instead of in front, which was because the front door was how you get in. After because you could go out the back way, how theaters are.
Yeah.
And when we came out, we were like, "Whoa, it's water!" And we walked around the corner to the very back of the building. The car was fine because it was up on that incline hill,
Okay.
whereas the parking lot was flooded and people's cars were flooded. So that kind of burned it in my brain as well.
Okay.
But man, that was, and of course we went back and saw that movie many other times again
Mm-hmm.
too, because that was such a great movie. Because that again is kind of real. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a real person doing a real thing, and you could do the Indiana Jones adventures. They didn't really have the toys for that. They did have some, but not. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't really do as well as the I don't know, the Star Wars type toys, but
Perhaps
but those
more.
would be my two big blockbusters.
Yeah, and I was gonna say perhaps because like more kids went to see Star Wars than Raiders of the Lost Ark, probably.
Yeah, because that was more of an adult type movie. That's why I felt like, oh, I'm an adult
Yeah.
in a dude movie with I'm just like this isn't for kids. This is for adult people. Even though it was still PG,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this is more of an adult. Because again, it wasn't like a fantasy adventure, although it was. It was
Mm-hmm.
still an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it wasn't as much it wasn't as imaginative maybe because Star Wars, the universe with like things you didn't know, whereas Indiana Jones took place on Earth in a historical period you did know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And of course he's older. There's no kids in it. Like Luke Skywalker was younger, so you
Right.
could kind of see because if you were in that 10-year to 12-year-old range,
Mm-hmm.
or even maybe 7 to 12-year-old range, you're close enough in age to Luke, who the actual actor probably was like 19 at the time, and he
Mm-hmm.
looked young. So you're like, I can kind of see that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I could see myself as this character,
Mm-hmm.
because he's kind of like me, and he's kind of, I'm on a farm, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a farm boy. Wait, what? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so. I
Poor
can see. I
farm
don't
boy.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my two
Yeah.
blockbusters.
Yeah, I don't see that. It's good picks. Good picks. Good picks. So you have a similar one, like with your brother, as I had with my grandmother. So yeah, that's
Right.
pretty
Well,
cool.
I will say with my dad and all the Star Wars, we saw all the Star Wars movies together. My dad and I,
Mm-hmm.
except for the latest ones, because he's older now, and he's kind of in early dementia stages. So I know everybody's gonna like, oh, it's terrible, and it is. It's terrible. Thank you for all your, uh, I know people are gonna say nice things, and I appreciate
Mhm.
it. But I know we saw The Force Awakens. It was the last Star Wars movie we saw together. He
Mhm.
did not like it, just because he was upset Luke wasn't in it more. Which again, I think everybody was. It's
Yeah.
like what? That was it. He was like, that was it. He goes, I don't like that. He goes, why wasn't there more Luke? And he goes, and I didn't understand why did he kill. Why did the boy kill Han? I don't understand that. And I was like,
Mhm.
nobody understands it. I don't know either. Like that seemed kind of stupid. Um, but yeah, he didn't like it. Of course, it was too loud. He didn't like that either, which I didn't either. But
Mhm.
just because you want your eardrums to bleed after you leave these movies nowadays, which
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. It's like quality sound, not
Yes.
loud blasting quantity.
Exactly.
So yeah, he didn't like it, but he liked hanging out with me and spend time with me,
Mhm.
which was cool. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm just gonna go back and remember and have us remember the fond original movies that came
Yeah.
out, because we had a great time. We saw all this together. It was a thing we did, which was wonderful. Kind of
Mhm.
like you and your grandma going to see movies. It was,
Mhm.
because again, my dad is a lot older than I am.
Mhm.
'Cause he's almost 90 now.
Oh, wow.
I'm the youngest, so there's a big. I mean, my dad grew up without electricity and plumbing, and I grew up in the video game era. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like it's a big gap there,
Yeah. Yeah.
given that I'm the youngest of all the kids. So there's like I don't know, a really big age gap between us. Now, I'm not saying he grew up completely without electricity or plumbing,
Mhm.
but when he was a kid, for the most part, he didn't have electricity,
Mhm.
and he used an outhouse most of the time.
Mhm.
So he remembers them putting in electrical outlets and light bulbs.
Wow.
And he remembers them doing that before uh, and without meters. So like
Oh,
you could run the
wow.
power as much as you wanted to. And
Mm.
then they started putting meters in, and his grandma and his mom started turning power electric off
Uh.
because he's like, we're wasting electricity, you know. So yeah, but that's again, he grew up. He was a young kid in World War II time frame.
Okay.
So his actual brother went off to World War II and died. So yeah, but he was what 10? He was about 10 or 11 when Pearl Harbor was attacked. So yeah, so he's a lot older than me. So yeah, so you're going from, because again, they live on a farm, so you're going from out in the deep country where not everybody had electricity and plumbing wasn't really a thing.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
there's a big disconnect there. But we had the Star Wars movies.
Mhm.
That's cool, and we hung out and did stuff. We went fishing and things. Like dad kid stuff, kind of you do with a parent.
Mhm.
My mom and I also saw movies together, kind of like your grandma. We would take cookie days
Mhm.
and see movies. My mom took me to see The Life of Brian,
Ah.
a rated R movie with a big thing, which is again, I was a young kid.
Mhm.
Um, so it was like, wow. My mom was cool like that, like your grandma was cool like that.
Uh, that was right. Thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing
man.
that. I appreciate it, and I think I can't think of a better a better note to end the show on. High note, happy, everything's nice,
Yeah,
thinking about the good times. So,
that's right.
uh,
Thanks for watching until the end, fellow Nerd Posse. If you stuck around this long, it means that we own your soul, and the only way to get it back is to click that subscribe button, leave a like or dislike, and comment down below. If you want to watch the full video, check us out on McBlamEntertainment.com, or for the audio version, just simply look us up on your favorite podcasting app. Follow us on social media, the links are in the description down below, and if you feel ever so kind, you can support us on Patreon or Subscribestar for as little as $1 a month and gain access to our Discord server where we talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. Thanks again for watching, and depending on what time of day you're watching, have a good morning, have a good day, and have a good night, and we will see you in the next video.